Hey guys, welcome back for more test training fun. The College Board has been wonderful enough to give me a script to follow for this training. So on one hand, that means that this will be more organized and less convoluted than my usual trainings. However, it's probably going to be longer. So let's begin. Today we will review the policies and procedures for proctoring this year's paper and pencil AP exams. We want to make sure that all of your questions are answered. The success of the administration depends on your understanding of AP policy and procedures for administering the exams. The AP exam administration is the culmination of all the hard work of our students have done this year in their AP courses. Students will expect the AP exams to be administered in a professional manner. Proctors should project confidence when providing the instructions and be prepared to answer general questions with authority. To do this, you need to review all the documents that are distributed today before exam day, and contact me with any questions. As a proctor, you must be attentive to the group of exam takers and make your presence known throughout the administration. You must carry out your responsibilities in an organized, friendly, and non-discriminatory manner. During the exam, you must not read, eat, drink, engage in conversation, correct papers, or perform any activity not related to the administration. No one should see the exam content or student responses except the students as they take the exam. You may never discuss any multiple choice and unreleased free response exam content with anyone. You may only discuss free response content if that specific content is released on the College Board website 2 days after the regularly scheduled exam administration. In this video, I will include a link to a folder that contains a digital copy of all of the materials I discuss in the training. You are welcome to print them out. I will provide you a hard copy of everything you will need for the day of testing. As a proctor, you must do the following before exam administration. Familiarize yourself with the relevant administration and exam security procedures in Part 2 of the 2021 AP Coordinator's Manual. Read all of the general and appropriate subject-specific exam administration instructions in the 2021 AP exam instructions to understand the flow of administration. Check that students have acceptable calculators for exams that allow the use of calculators. Make sure you have one personalized AP ID label sheet for each student taking the exam, and make sure you understand the process for distributing the personalized AP ID label sheets. Check the exam title of each shrink-wrapped exam. Confirm that you have the correct exams for the specific exam administration. For example, if you are administering English literature, be sure there are no English language exams in the stack. During the exam administration, take all necessary materials to the exam room. Ensure the proper seating distance is maintained between students. Distribute testing materials to each student individually. Follow alternating distribution patterns. For example, if you distribute exam packets to the first row of students by walking from the front of the classroom down the back, you should distribute exam packets from the back of the classroom to the front for the second row of students. Ensure that each student has their correct personalized AP ID label sheet. Ensure students properly complete identification information on their answer sheets and other exam materials. Supervise the testing room for the entire exam administration, including during the break. Supply pens, pencils, calculators when appropriate, and extra paper as necessary. Walk around the room to ensure students are working on the correct exam section and are not using any unauthorized aids. Guard against attempts at cheating. Keep the room supervised at all times, and complete a seating chart. After the exam administration, collect and account for all exam materials before dismissal. Ensure that students have properly identified their exam materials with AP ID labels. Return the seating chart and all other materials to the AP coordinator. This will be in the first floor office. For AP US History and AP World History Modern, you must insert all of the Section 1 short answer response booklets inside the yellow short answer response booklet return envelope with spines facing in the same direction before leaving the test room. Keep these short answer response booklets separate from the multiple choice answer booklets, which will be placed in the answer sheet return envelope before being packed for shipment. After checking out, you may return and dismiss the scholars. As far as setting up the room, you'll be glad to know you will not need to do anything for this part. I will have the rooms set up and ready to go. Our main testing will be in the library, and then most of the extended time will be handled in the media room. Materials will be in the first floor office and should be picked up by 7:45 for the 8 o'clock exams and 11:45 for the noon tests. A personalized AP ID label sheet is provided for every student taking an AP exam. The student's name is in bold at the top of the AP ID label sheet. It's critical that you give each student their correct AP ID label sheet. Each student has a unique AP ID. I will put these in the tubs before each exam. The student's AP ID label sheet includes their known 2021 AP exam schedule for in-school paper and pencil exams as of the time the label is printed. The AP ID barcode label matches each student's exam materials to the registration information they provided at the start of the school year. The AP ID identifies the student electronically and helps ensure the rapid and accurate processing of their exam materials. If a student doesn't place an AP ID label on their exam materials or doesn't write their AP ID, the student might not be able to receive their exam score. Students are instructed to place an AP ID label on their answer sheet and their free response booklet. Students must not share their AP ID labels. If a student runs out of labels, they may write their AP ID in the appropriate areas. Students must use their AP ID for all the exams they take this year. If a student's AP ID label sheet is missing or they've run out of labels and they don't know their AP ID, contact me. As students arrive, mark the roster accordingly. Students should not choose their own seats. Assign seats to all students. Students should not be seated alphabetically or following any other expected pattern. Everyone must face the same direction. Students should have 2 sharpened number 2 pencils with erasers, 2 pens, black or dark blue ink, a watch, up to 2 calculators when appropriate, and for AP Physics only, a ruler or straight edge. They may have their College Board accommodations letter if that's appropriate. Scholars should not have electronic equipment, phones, smartwatches, wearable technology of any kind, laptops, tablet computers, Bluetooth devices, portable listening or recording devices, MP3 player, iPods, cameras, other photographic equipment, devices that can access the internet, separate timers of any kind, and any other electronic communication devices. Note, school-owned and controlled digital recording devices are only allowed for the AP Spanish language exam. They may not have books, compasses, correction fluid, dictionaries, highlighters, notes, mechanical or colored pencils, rulers or straight edges, except for AP Physics, protractors, scratch paper, computers, reference guide, keyboard, maps, other typing instructions, calculators unless it is allowed on the specific exam, watches that beep or have an alarm, food or drink, clothing or shoes with subject-related information, earplugs, clipboards, etc. Although students should already be aware that phones of any kind and other electronic devices are prohibited in the testing room, the general exam instruction script still includes text for you to ask the students if they have these devices. If any student has one, ask that it be turned off and collected. AP policy states that no one should be in the exam room except for the students, the proctors, and or the AP coordinator. The exam room must never be left unattended, including during break. Students must have masks, but please check to make sure that there is nothing written on them. They may also bring hand sanitizer, but it must remain under the desk during testing. In your box, you will receive a complete set of exam instructions. These will be read for all subjects except for AP Seminar. All exam booklets must be distributed individually. Hand one shrink-wrapped exam packet directly to each student in the order they are stacked in the bundles or as individual exams. Do not ask students to hand out or pass back exam packets to others. Note that an 11-digit alphanumeric test book number is printed in the upper right-hand corner of both the multiple choice and free response booklets. Certain exams have an additional Section 1 booklet, and all exams, except Computer Science Principles, contain 2 booklets for Section 2. These booklets also have serial numbers and must be returned to the AP program. Check that the students are completing the answer sheet in pencil only. Students should take great care in completing their identification information on the front of the answer sheet and in applying their unique AP IDs to label their answer sheets and free response booklets. Students should write their full legal name on the answer sheets. Once the general exam instructions have been completed, move on to the exam instructions for the subject being administered. Section 1, Multiple Choice. Before the exam begins, note the time. Be sure it is between 8 and 9 a.m. local time or between noon and 1 p.m. local time, in accordance with the published start time for the subject exam you are administering. Note and post the start and stop times for each section after reading the relevant instructions. Do not write the start and stop times in advance of the administration or you may affect the testing time. Once the exam begins, walk up and down the rows and around the room. Check that the students are working on the appropriate exam section and that they are using a pencil for the multiple choice section. Be sure students are using a calculator on approved sections or parts only. While students are testing, complete a seating chart. At the end of the multiple choice section, students are asked to seal the open sides of the exam booklet with white seals, which are provided with the exam booklet. AP policy states that no one except the student may have access to the multiple choice questions. Proctors may not open exam booklets. Collect exams and answer sheets in the same order they were distributed. Check that each answer sheet has an AP ID label and an AP exam label applied. The AP U.S. History and World History exams include a separate Section 1 Part B short answer response booklet. These exam materials should be collected in the order stated in the exam instructions. After the multiple choice booklets, short answer response booklets, and answer sheets have been collected, recount everything before dismissing students for the break. Be sure that your used booklet and answer sheet counts are correct. There is a 10-minute monitored break between multiple choice and free response sections, except for the physics exam. During the break, the exam room must remain supervised. All exam materials, including students' AP ID label sheets, must remain in the room during the break. Students are not permitted to make any phone calls, reference textbooks or notes, or consult with teachers or students about the exam during the break. Students are not permitted to send text messages, check email, use social networking site, access electronic equipment, which includes phones, smartwatches, wearable technology of any kind, laptops, tablet computers, Bluetooth devices, portable listening or recording devices, MP3 player, iPod, cameras, photographic equipment, devices that can access the internet, separate timers of any kind, or any other electronic or communication devices. Students may have a drink or snack at this time, and we will again have snack bags available. Students may not leave the designated area without permission. Make sure the students return to the assigned seat after the break. The second half of the exam consists of free response essays, problems, and/or spoken responses. In 2021, the free response section of all exams has 2 booklets, an orange booklet and a free response booklet. Students must write their response in the free response booklet, not in the orange booklet. The orange booklet contains questions or reference materials depending on the exam subject. For some exams, on each page in the free response booklet, students need to fill in the circle that corresponds to the question, task, or essay they are answering on that page. Other exams have designated space for student responses. The short answer response and free response booklets are designed to include sufficient space for student responses. However, if a student needs additional space to complete their responses, provide paper. They must print only their AP ID, the title of the exam, and the question number at the top of each extra sheet of paper. After the exam, have students staple the extra sheet to the first page corresponding to that question in their free response exam booklets. Students are not permitted to keep extra paper that is provided during the exam. Then an incident report will be completed for students who use the extra paper. Do not provide extra paper for students to write drafts of responses or notes. You're encouraged to exercise caution when handling used answer sheets and other used exam materials. However, don't alter any procedures for collecting and returning exam materials. Collect all exam materials. Check the front cover of each Section 2 booklet to be sure the student has placed an AP ID label. Also, check the student has completed the important identification information area, which is either on the front cover or back cover of the free response booklet, depending on the exam subject, and that answers have been written in the free response booklet, not in the orange booklet. If any student mistakenly wrote their responses in the orange booklet, you'll need to follow the instructions for the incident, answers written in an orange booklet instead of the free response booklet. You must not transcribe the students' responses or let them transcribe their responses. Before dismissing the students, count the used free response booklet and orange booklets. Count all of the master CDs as well if they apply to that subject. Again, be sure your numbers match. Check that you are not missing anything before dismissing the students. Make sure you collect the AP ID label sheet from all students following the directions in the AP exam instructions. I'll sort these out before the next exam. You'll remind students that if they haven't already done so, they should sign in to My AP after the exam to indicate the recipient for their free score report. The deadline for students to do this is June 20th. You'll remind students that they may only discuss the exam content if the specific free response question on the exam they took are released on the College Board website 2 days after the exam. If the questions are not released, they may not be discussed with anyone. Make a final check of the testing room to be sure nothing has been left behind. All of the exam materials and supplies must be collected and returned to me in the first floor office immediately after the exam. Account for all exam booklets, answer sheets, AP label ID sheets, master CDs, and student response recordings. Return a completed roster as well as the seating chart. If you are administering the exam with accommodations, you will receive a non-standard administration report, or NAR. This will indicate how much time the student has been approved for or what section. You will need to indicate the actual amount of time that the student uses for each part and section. This must be completed and returned to me with your exam materials. If you have any questions on the policies and procedures reviewed, please feel free to contact me. Please review all of your instructions and information and contact me with any questions as soon as possible. Thank you for assisting with this year's AP exam administration. Your time and effort are greatly appreciated.
That's all, folks.